Have you ever felt that someone suspected ulterior motives behind a kindness you did with the purest of intentions? Or that your words were misunderstood and used against you? Or on the contrary, moments when you realized that the first thing that came to your mind when you saw someone make a mistake was that they had bad intentions? These are the moments when the trust that forms the common ground we call humanity is shaken. Our actions are guided by that invisible compass we call intention. Sometimes, without even realizing it, we turn the needle of this compass towards suspicion and judgment. But when properly set, that same compass becomes our most reliable guide, always leading us toward understanding and humanity. Today we will talk about the art of always setting that compass toward goodness. Our topic is being well-intentioned. So what does it mean to be well-intentioned? Is blindly believing everything just naivety? Actually, it's much more than that. Being well-intentioned means not accusing anyone without evidence, assuming the most positive reason behind an action, and giving people the benefit of the doubt. The goal is not to be deceived, but to free oneself from prejudice and pessimism that poison relationships. So how can we properly set this inner compass? Let's take a look together at the fundamental principles of this art, in other words, the unerring settings of the compass. The first and most fundamental is to think well of others. In other words, to assume good intentions. This means your default setting should be that people are basically good. When you encounter uncertainty, your mind should automatically go not to the worst-case scenario, but to the most reasonable and positive explanation. For example, if your friend doesn't answer your call, instead of thinking they don't care about me, you should be able to think they probably have something important to do or are not available. This acts as a shield that protects your inner peace. Our second principle is to separate the action from the person. A mistake someone makes does not reflect their entire character. Goodwill refuses to instantly label someone as a bad person because of a single wrong action. If a colleague forgets a task they promised to do, instead of saying they are irresponsible, you can say they forgot this time, maybe they were very busy. This gives people space to grow and make amends. Now, let's move on to the third and most critical principle: generous interpretation. Especially in written communication, when there is no tone or facial expression, words can easily be misunderstood. It's about interpreting a short "okay" message not as a sign of anger, but as an indication that the person is busy. Generous interpretation is the art of filling in the gaps not with suspicion but with understanding. And the fourth adjustment, allowing room for excuses. It is to accept that we do not know anyone's entire life story. It's keeping in mind that the driver who cuts you off in traffic might be rushing someone to the hospital, or that the cashier who treats you rudely may have received very bad news that day. This is a magical perspective that transforms momentary anger into compassion. Of course, it's not always easy to maintain this perspective. Because there are inner voices in our minds that feed our own pessimism, approaching everyone with suspicion due to past disappointments and bad experiences we've had, pessimism, an internal belief that things will always turn out for the worst, and of course hasty judgments. Our tendency to make definitive judgments about people without having enough information. So how do we silence these inner voices? Actually, the answer is in the same place again, in that solid compass we've set. We overcome past disappointments by giving every new person the benefit of generous interpretation. We overcome pessimism by consciously choosing to think well of others, and we stop hasty judgments by remembering the principle of separating actions from personality. Good intentions are like a window through which we watch the world. Keeping that window clean requires effort, patience, and awareness. But when that window is clean, the view you see is priceless. Peace, forgiveness, less stress, and most importantly, a renewed faith in humanity. Remember, every event is a choice. You can either look for stains through a dirty window or see the light through a clean one. Take the first step today. Pause before judging someone and choose to assume the best possible intention. Choose to look through that clean window